She's coughing and coughing and coughing till this like thing comes out of her mouth and then just all of her insides right on the table. It's actually kind of cool. I'm Dia Ghoul. Welcome to my channel where we have spooky talks about spooky topics. Today we will be talking about a movie that blew my freaking mind. So I was scrolling through Reddit, as one does when you are a degenerate Redditor, such as myself. I saw a post in the r/horror subreddit about a movie called There Are Monsters. And I knew I just had to share this one with you guys because it is just such a joy. This movie is like the weirdly wonderful love child between the Blair Witch Project, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and the Mandela Catalog. If that sounds weird to you, it is. It's pretty weird, but I am down with it. I really enjoyed this movie. So this movie follows 4 characters: Beth, Jeff, Terry, and Dan. These 4 characters are college students. They are working on a documentary for class. This documentary will be interviews of previous students from their university who have since graduated and started their careers. This project seems pretty lighthearted, pretty simple, nothing too complex or spooky there, but there will be no mistaking for the horrors that are in for us because they show it right at the beginning. They do one of those like, oh, we'll show you a piece from later and we'll show you now. But personally, I just didn't think it was very necessary for this movie. It's not necessarily a bad choice, just not the choice that I would have made personally. In this little intro bit that we see, one of the characters, Terry, we don't know his name at this point, but yeah, Terry is sitting there eating fries in the car while the other characters are off, like going to the bathroom and whatever. And as he's sitting in the car, he sees a girl standing in the parking lot, but she's standing with her back facing to him, and she's just standing there, and it's very weird and unsettling. Terry starts to ask her if she's okay, and we quickly see that she is very much not okay. But hold up, am I crazy, or does that thing look exactly like Taylor Swift? I don't know what the hell that thing is, but I have a feeling it's probably a Swiftie. So yeah, we see that crazy bullshit. And then we go back to the actual beginning of the story, where they're given their project and they get ready for their road trip. The banter and dialogue between the characters honestly comes off as really natural, and I'm not the only one who seems to think so. I saw that sentiment mentioned many times over in the comments. When the group starts their road trip, they realize something is off almost right away when they come to a toll booth and there's nobody at the toll booths. There are no workers, there to take your change and let you through. So they just think it's weird, whatever, and drive on through. And then they see one of the workers in like a vest and stuff standing there with his back towards them, just like we saw Taylor Swift doing earlier. They all think this is kind of creepy and strange, but nothing really happens to set off their alarm bells yet, so they just keep driving. So the first place that they go to for their documentary is a school, an elementary school. One of the previous university students is now a teacher there. Here we already see things starting to get very weird. No one acknowledges it, but the camera pans in and you see that the secretary, her shirt is like inside out. You can see the tag is out and the seams are out. And it also zooms in on an email she's typing. This email is just total and utter nonsense. Honestly, I don't know if the cameraman realized that this was weird or if they just happened to zoom in on it. But the secretary checks them in and takes them to the classroom. Oh, she does another weird thing. She says, "Here, you'll have to sign this, all 3 of you."
Okay, I need you to sign this release form, all 3 of you.
Even though there are 4 people. This does matter later, but let's just set that aside for now. So she rounds them up and brings them to the classroom. Here we see little bits of the interview with the teacher. And as far as I can tell, the teacher is pretty much normal. Everything about her interview seems normal. But what's not normal is when they're trying to get B-roll footage of the children, playing and learning and eating lunch and whatnot. And Terry sees something strange in one of the kids' lunchboxes. He sees that there is what appears to be raw organ meat just loose in this kid's lunchbox. And when he sees what appears to be like a hairy bit, he goes and picks it up. And it is like a full chunk of hair and scalp. Ugh, made me itchy just thinking about it. So Terry kind of freaks out, like not too much. He doesn't go overboard or anything, but he just pulls the other people together and shows them the footage, and they're all just like, whoa, what the fuck? They approach the teacher and tell her about this. The teacher, however, is not really concerned. Honestly, she just seems more concerned about like a lawsuit or something. She just says like, oh, you mean the Chinese kid? That must be a delicacy, whatever. I can't do anything about that. And I don't think that's right. I'm not a teacher and I'm not an expert on like discrimination lawsuits and things, but I still don't think that's right. Like, I don't think kids can be just bringing raw organ meat and human hair chunks to school, but whatever. She lets it go. Our main film crew here, they are very weirded out, but they just blow it off and move on with their day. As they make their journey, they do start to see some other very weird things. We finally get back to that scene that we saw before where dude sees Taylor Swift and freaks out. And along with that, at the same time, our main character, Beth, she goes into a convenience store where she sees a woman who is very creepy and just off and just wrong. This woman is acting very weird. She's like trying to get Beth to go into this back room. Beth can see that there's somebody else waiting in the back room, and she's very creeped out, and she's like, yeah, no, fuck that. I'm just gonna buy my stuff, all right? And the woman gives her a very inhuman smile, and that freaks Beth just right the fuck out. There's also a part in like very similar vein where she's in a bathroom and she sees these twins, weirdly enough. Honestly, I love this bathroom scene because it's just very unsettling. But you see how these things, these whatever they are, how they just glitch out and distort, and they're very clearly not human, maybe not even organic. And before Beth can tell the rest of her group about all this weirdness that she's seen, she runs into an old friend. I won't lie, I didn't write the friend's name down. So we're just gonna call her Beth's friend. So yeah, Beth's friend. She says hi to Beth, does some catching up, as one does. But then she asks her, like, a kind of weird question. She's just like, oh, hey, do you remember that old inside joke of ours from high school French class? And Beth struggles at first to remember, but after being prompted a little bit, it jogs her memory and she remembers the joke. What Beth doesn't know is that her friend clearly knows what's going on, or at least knows that something is going on. And she was testing Beth to see if she was really her. And we'll learn a lot more about what I mean by that in their next little piece of their documentary, their next interview. Here, they're at a dentist's office, and they're interviewing the dental assistant. So in the waiting room, they see this like weird-ass guy doing a crossword puzzle. The letters and words in the words in the crossword puzzle are just complete nonsense. Basically like that lady's email earlier. They do take notice of it, but like they do not seem nearly alarmed enough. Like I would be concerned. I'd be like, sir, are you having a stroke? Or are you just Russian or something? But these guys, they don't seem to give a fuck. They're just like, okay, I guess he's a dipshit. Doesn't know how to do a crossword puzzle. Look at this fucking idiot. And when they go to interview the dental assistant, they want to film like a cleaning that she's doing on this little kid. This was the standout scene of the whole movie for me. I truly just was blown away by this scene. And that is because of just the phenomenal performance done by this child actor. So they bring in this little girl to get her teeth cleaned, and just the look on this little girl's face, you know that something is very, very wrong. And at first, I honestly thought that she was scared of the dental assistant, but it wasn't that. It wasn't quite that. During the cleaning, just terrified, she's too scared to like say anything to anyone. This little girl's laying there, and she's looking into the camera that Terry is holding, and she just starts mouthing, "Help me. Help me." Oh my god, it was so creepy. And so the dental assistant stops, and she's just like, "What's wrong?" And the little girl says, "That man in the waiting room." And the dental assistant's like, "You mean your dad?" She's like, "That's not my dad." Oh my god, it gives me chills just thinking about it. Like, her performance was so good. And the dental assistant's like, "Well, he looks like your dad. You know, I've seen your dad before. He looks like your dad." And she's just like, "That's not my dad. That's a monster." And oh my god, that, like, this scene changes everything. There's already a lot of weird, creepy stuff that's happened, but this changes everything. From this point forward, I think it's a little important to know kind of the archetypes of the characters that we're working with here. So we've got Terry, and he's probably my favorite. He's like the comedic relief, the sort of like, you know, kind of dumb guy. Then we've got Dan. Honestly, we don't learn a ton about Dan, except he's like a huge pothead, I guess, and he keeps a diary, which is very important later. We've got Jeff, who is the rational guy, but to a detriment. Like, when everything starts getting all fucky and fucked up, he just refuses to accept that everything is, like, weird and clearly not following rational logic. So that's who Jeff is. And then we got Beth, who I think is just, like, the anchor character. She's, like, the main one of the group. She's, like, the most normal person. The normalest of the people. So Terry, while he's recording, points his camera to the dad in the waiting room while the little girl is telling them this. And he sees the dad give that creepy, inhuman smile. And then, in the blink of an eye, the dad's gone. Terry is freaking out. And then the dad appears and takes the girl out. He's like, "Okay, we have to go. Sorry, like, gotta get out of here." And the assistant's like, "Dude, we haven't even started." But he's like, nope, sorry, I gotta go. So he takes the girl and leaves. That also got me to thinking, like, what would happen in a situation if a little girl was in a doctor's office or a dentist's office and said that she didn't feel safe with the person she was with? Would they just let her go? Like, are they legally obligated to, like, let him take her and then call the cops afterwards? Because I would not be comfortable with letting that girl go with him. That was freaking crazy. So, safe to say the interview is cut a little short, and they get the fuck out of there. Terry, at this point, is freaking out. I am Team Terry. He is very uncomfortable with everything going on, and Jeff is just like, "Dude, it's whatever. Like, we got another interview to do. We got a whole other day ahead of us. Like, we can't let this get to us." Fuck you, Jeff, is what I say. So, at this point, we understand that these creatures are mimicking humans or, like, taking over the life of a human. They're basically doppelgangers, for lack of a better term. Shit hits the fan again that same night when they are in their motel room. There's a knock on their door in the night. Obviously, after everything that's happened, that scares them shitless. That would scare me shitless too. When they answer the door, it's an older woman who gives them a story about her husband being replaced with some creature. And Terry, my boy, Terry is on this shit. Terry's, like, asking her questions that matter. Like, she mentions them showing the back of their heads, and he's like, why? Why the back of their heads? And, like, maybe that's not the best question of all the questions, but I'm just glad Terry's out here asking questions. Because Jeff is just like, "Alright, bitch, you are crazy." And I can't believe that shit. After everything they've seen, this lady, like, could teach them so much about everything going on. She's their best asset at this point. And basically, nobody believes her except for Terry and Beth a little bit. She's going on and telling them how these things work. She tells them that they show the back of their heads to hide their demon face. You know, the distorted, creepy-ass face that everyone keeps seeing. The Taylor Swift face. She tells them that they nestle inside of you and they hide, and that they're done hiding. Throughout this movie, there's been talk of a virus, and she's saying, like, there is no virus that's fabricated so that people won't worry about this doppelganger situation. And finally, she drops the bomb that the reason she came to their door was because her doppelganger husband had found her. His truck was in the parking lot as they were speaking. So eventually some people just like bust in, like a woman and two men. And the woman claims to be the daughter of the older lady. And she's just like, oh, hey, you know, my mom, she has schizophrenia. She's off her meds. She's having an episode. You know, please give her to us. We're going to take her to the hospital, yada, yada. And they just hand her off. And Jeff is almost loving this because he's just like, oh, see, guys, she's crazy. Like, that's it. She's just crazy. I told ya. And then Beth is like, oh, I don't know. She sounded pretty convincing at the end there, but maybe she's just crazy. And then Terry is just like, guys, she knew everything. And Terry's even like, how do we know that was even her family? Which is such a good point. Like, they didn't verify anything. They just like gave her off. That could have been some random people coming for this elderly lady, and they're just like, yep, take her. Get her off our hands. I am Team Terry. We are Team Terry here on this channel. But Beth is a little bit suspicious. She pulls Jeff aside and starts to tell him, you know, Dan has been acting weird lately. Dan isn't remembering everything he should remember. And I had even been thinking up to this point that Dan was like such a nothing burger of a character, and I'm like, why the fuck is this guy even here? But this is why, okay? So she's wondering if Dan is even Dan. And Jeff is like, dude, of course Dan is Dan. He's just really baked or whatever. And she's just like, oh, okay, if you say so, Jeff. And then there's also this big moment between Jeff and Beth where we learn that they've been friends since they were like little kids, and they had this cute little 2-person soccer team together, and they had their own special cheer, their own name. They even had t-shirts. So they have this cute moment where they do the cheer together, and that matters later. Okay, I know I said it before and I'll probably say it again, but this is where shit like truly hits the fan, fully hits the fan. They wake up the next day, the cell phones aren't working, the TV's not working, the power is going in and out. They go outside and they see graffiti on their motel door. It's on all of the motel doors. There's a 3 on their door, a 2 on another door, a 1 on another door. It's all just kind of random numbers. And Beth starts to wonder, like, hey, maybe the number is how many people are inside. And then Jeff says, like, oh, that can't be because there's a 3 on our door, but there's 4 of us. Remember the secretary earlier who said all 3 of you, even though there was 4 people? And, you know, we got the whole thing of Dan being fucking weird and not remembering stuff. Yeah, looking mighty suspicious at this point. In the car, they just can't help but quiz Dan on his knowledge to like kind of test him. But there's a problem. He's able to answer their question correctly, but they're not considering the fact that Dan has a diary. They asked him about a very significant event that would be written about in his diary. Whereas before, the other things he wasn't remembering were like boring everyday stuff that you probably wouldn't write down. So that's where they fucked up there. For now, they trust Dan. Jeff is being a hard ass and is like, okay guys, we can't back out now. Terry just wants to go home. And like, I find it so funny because Jeff is like, guys, it's just vandalism. It's just some vandalism, no big deal. As if there hadn't been like 8 or more incidents of weirdness that have happened like before the vandalism. But yeah, buddy, it's the spray paint on the doors that's scaring everybody. They go to their final interview and they decide, okay, we'll do this interview, get coffee afterwards, and go the fuck home. But when they're waiting to do the interview in the waiting room, something is going very wrong. Beth thinks that she saw one of those weird, creepy twins from earlier, so she goes and runs off to find them. Meanwhile, Terry and Jeff are watching this woman cough like crazy, just like coughing, and it's just getting worse and worse. Dan goes off somewhere, I don't know, I forget. He fucks off somewhere. Eventually, Jeff gets up to go find Dan. Beth finds her creepy twin, and then she finds the other twin, and they're talking to Dan. So Jeff and Beth are finally understanding, like, okay, shit is fucked. We gotta go. And Terry is watching this goddamn old woman basically transform, I'm pretty sure, into one of those things. She's coughing and coughing and coughing until this, like, thing comes out of her mouth. It almost looks like a big tongue at first. And then, bleh, just bleh, all of her insides right on the table. It's really gnarly, dude. It's actually kind of cool. This whole segment could have been the end of the movie, but it's not. Truly, I think it almost could have helped if they ended here, but they wanted to go all in, and that much is very, very clear to me. So at this point, complete chaos. They're driving away, trying to get the fuck away. They see Dan with a drink carrier full of coffees because they were talking about getting coffee afterwards. And I won't lie, that just took me the fuck out. That was so funny to me. And then Terry, he gets all pissed, realizing that Dan is a doppelganger and not really Dan anymore. And he's just like, Dan, you asshole. That's awesome. I love Terry. So they take off. All these fucking things are after them. At this point, there's pure chaos in the streets because these things are invading, they're taking over, they are not blending in anymore. Eventually, in the chaos, they come to this house, and this part was this is where they started to actually lose me. I'm sure there are people like smarter than me who understand what was going on, but I really was lost, but I'll explain to the best of my ability. So they come into this house, and they see this little family, like two elderly people and a little kid. And at first I thought these were normal people, but I'm pretty sure they were the weird doppelganger things. And they start saying like weird trippy shit about like mitosis, which is basically duplication. And with the twins and stuff, I'm thinking, so these things must be duplicating. But what I'm confused about is, so they form inside of us, and we saw that one woman turns. That does show us that it lays dormant like that one lady was talking about. But then they also duplicate, apparently, and they also eat people like zombies. I don't understand the goal of these creatures, I guess. I don't understand the whole mitosis idea that they were going for. I don't know if they want us for food or if they want to take our bodies over or both. I don't know. It's weird. So they're weird doppelganger zombie things that glitch in and out of reality and shit. This movie, I think, was analog horror before analog horror was a thing. I don't know exactly when analog horror started, but this was filmed in 2013, and I think they were like so far ahead of their time. I saw one person online say something along the lines of like, this is like watching a creepypasta, and that really is kind of how it feels. It's like an analog horror creepypasta movie. But it's not bad, though. That would give the impression that it's bad, but it's not. And in this mitosis scene, you see, like, two of these things eating a guy at once. Like a really weird cannibal three-way. I don't know how I feel about it. It's very uncomfortable, but I'm seriously lost. I'm lost with the mitosis. I'm lost with the eating people. I'm lost. If they were just duplicates of people taking over our lives, like, that's creepy enough and I would have understood it. Like I said, I'm not trying to make the movie seem bad because I think it's awesome. I'm probably just too stupid to get it. But after this point is really where you kind of lose me because every time you think it's gonna end, you're like, okay, this has to be the climax. It just never is. It just keeps going and going and going and going. It's around here where Terry gets separated from Beth and Jeff. Beth and Jeff, they're out in this like creepy room. They think one of those things might be in the room with them, but it's dark and they don't have a flashlight. So they're using the flash on their camera to take pictures and like look at the pictures in real time. So they'll like take a picture with the flash and then wait for it to load and then look at the picture to see if there's anything in it. And then at one point, of course, boo, spooky face. Then they're freaking out. And I'm just like, that's so stupid. By the time you see anything, you're already done for. I don't know. I thought it was kind of dumb. This is the one scene where I'm like, you could have just done completely without this. The part with Terry, however, is actually a lot cooler to watch. So Terry is being chased down by this creepy little kid in like a pig mask. And Terry is stuck inside of a car while this kid in the pig mask just like taunts him and keeps going for him but just can't seem to get him. This other masked one in like a horse mask or something also comes up, and it's these two children, and he just starts getting like pissed off basically and starts talking shit to these kids. He's like, you are children. I could beat the shit out of you. Try me. And this is where we learn that these creatures just love the thrill of the hunt. Because if they wanted these guys dead, each and every one of them would have been dead in seconds. This thing just glitches right to the door and rips the entire car door off. And sadly, that's the end of Terry. Next, we see more of Beth and Jeff in the creepy room and whatever, and they escape the room, and they're running, and whatever. And honestly, by this point, I'm kind of over it, but like, it's a good movie, you know? It's just, I think that the first half is so much stronger. And then Jeff gets stopped in the woods. Then it cuts to him looking at himself in a mirror, all like shirtless and bloody and stuff. And he's doing some weird like belly dancing shit. It's a weird scene. Basically, it's telling us, okay, he got snatched. Jeff is done. But he meets back up with Beth, and Beth starts saying like, thank God it's you. Out of everyone, thank God it's you, my best friend. And it's so sad. You can tell that she knows something's wrong with Jeff. And that's when she tries to get him to do the chant with her, the soccer chant that they had together. And he can't remember it. Even though he was just doing it with her the night previously, he cannot remember the chant. And this is where we see the end of Jeff and Beth. But it's not quite the end of the movie. There's one more pretty cool scene that I'm glad was in there. Remember, way earlier, we saw Beth's friend asking her about the inside joke and stuff. It was clear at that point she was already getting the fuck out of Dodge. And now we're seeing her on a bus. I'm guessing something must have went catastrophically wrong with the ride she had before, because she had all this supplies and stuff. So if she's resorting to the bus, something must have went wrong. She's on this bus and she is unsettled, creeped out watching people around her when she sees Beth. Beth is reading some French books. The fact that Beth is reading books probably gives her a very false sense of security, and she approaches Beth. The friend, realizing what she is, asks, "What are you?" And Beth says, "It's happening." And the friend says, "What's happening?" And then they just swarm. They just swarm her in some glitchy, awesome goodness. And it's just such an awesome closing scene. Even though I felt like they dragged the second half out a bit longer than they needed to, that closing scene really saved it for me. I am just flabbergasted that this movie is so cool and that it flew completely past my radar for years. I can't believe that this analog horror gem existed all the way back in 2013. And it took all this time, it took a Reddit post of all things, to get me to finally see it. And honestly, I think you should watch it too. It may have its problems, it's not perfect, but it is no doubt a hidden gem. I hope you enjoy this analog horror weirdness just as much as I did. If you've seen There Are Monsters, tell me what you think about it in the comments. With that said, I'm Dia Ghoul, and I hope you had a spooky time. Like and subscribe if you want.